What's up everybody, JJ here, and today we're going to be upgrading the Anycubic Mega S from the stock hot end to an all-metal hot end. But more than just showing you how to do it, I wanted to run some tests to see if it's really worth it, if it was worth it for me, and if you should even waste your time with it. There's definitely some obvious benefits of if you're going to print anything over 240 degrees Celsius, an all-metal hot end is the safe way to go. But more than that, I want to know if we can get any other performance benefits. Maybe the performance will improve, maybe prints will look better, maybe it'll heat up quicker, or maybe this nickel-plated copper heat block should repel some plastic from sticking on it in the case of a printer failure. So hopefully by the end of this video I can answer that question for you of if it's really worth it. Let's get right into it. So the kit I'm going to be using today is the Triangle Labs V6 hot end kit. It comes with a nickel-plated copper heat block and a titanium heat break. It's just some sort of titanium alloy and it's going to be stronger than the stock one. This entire kit comes in at $30, but that does include a nickel-plated copper nozzle, which would be $9 if bought separately. So if you've already been looking at one of these nozzles, which I already was, you can kind of think of this kit as a $21 upgrade. They do also offer a cheaper kit for $18 that comes with an aluminum heat block, probably just a stainless steel heat break because it isn't mentioned, and a standard brass nozzle. So if you're looking for a cheaper option, there's one you can go with. Now this video isn't sponsored in any way by Triangle Labs. I've just used some of their stuff in the past and they seem like high quality, cheap equipment. That's why I went for this kit. It seems like a mid-level kit. It's not the top end, it's not a genuine E3D hot end, but it's also not the cheapest thing you can get out there. There are definitely some lower end options that I would probably avoid because so much of an all-metal hot end is how well it's machined, and if it's machined poorly, those results will show. You'll have clogging. That's just what I've heard other people say about cheaper ones online, so we will test this one out for sure. But let's get back to the basics. You may have clicked on this video without fully understanding the difference between a PTFE lined hot end and an all-metal hot end. They both have a lot of metal involved in this, but the big difference is that the Bowden tube is PTFE Teflon, and in a Teflon lined hot end, it goes all the way through the hot end and touches the nozzle. On the all metal hot end, it means everything that gets hot is only touched by metal. And your PTFE Bowden tube enters the heat sink at the top, gets down to the heat break, and only barely enters the top here. That way it correctly leads the filament into the heating zone, but that Teflon tube doesn't get hot and won't be releasing any dangerous chemicals. It is really important to know that PTFE breaks down somewhere around 240 or 250 degrees Celsius. Somewhere in that range, PTFE will break down and releases really dangerous chemicals. Something you really don't want to be breathing in. You don't want your pets to be breathing it in. I have seen different things online of where exactly it'll start breaking down, and I do think it gets worse as the temperature gets higher, but I personally would err on the side of safety of if you're going to print anything over 240 for very long, just go ahead and upgrade. I did print a bunch of ABS for my Voron at 240 degrees Celsius, but I made sure to not be in the room while it was printing, and now that I have this kit, I've stopped printing ABS on this machine, and after this upgrade, I can go back to printing ABS on this machine. For anyone who is wondering, I am working on a video to explain how to get ABS working on this printer. That'll be coming up in the future. If you're interested, you can subscribe to make sure you don't miss that one. But other than the high heat safety of an all-metal hot end, there are a few other benefits we're going to explain here. The titanium heat break here will be a lot stronger than a stainless steel one. In the case of an accidental nozzle strike, if the nozzle accidentally hits into the bed very quickly, stainless steel bends or breaks a lot easier than a titanium one. So that's kind of all the benefits you have there. The other benefit of this being the copper upgrade from the aluminum one, the copper one can go hotter and is a better thermal conductor. The aluminum of the stock one is also way smaller. The larger thermal mass of this new upgrade will help keep more consistent temperatures when printing. This could be also a good time to upgrade your heater or thermistor. I am using the stock ones here because I wanted to get a good comparison. But let's get right into the installation. I already printed out a new mount for this because the heat sinks are different heights from the stock to the V6 one, so the mount needs to be a different height. If you're still using the stock X-Carriage for this printer, I will link a link of one that has some good reviews on Thingiverse down below. If you've already upgraded and you found a different model that works really well for you, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to list that one in the description to help people out who are still using the stock X-Carriage. So the first thing I would do is remove the Bowden tube. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off at this layer. That makes things a lot easier. First, I'm going to take off this fan cover on the front. It has some LED wires. It has some LED wires on it, but they're strong enough I can just let it dangle down below. Take off the BL Touch next. Then the hot end is nice and free and swinging loose. Now we can remove this front plate. Now the front plate is off. It is really nice that a lot of these screws can just be reused from the old mount into the new one. This V6 kit is really easy to put together. Screw the heat break into the heater block, then put your nozzle in the other side of the heater block. Make sure those snug up correctly. Make sure you have a little bit of a gap between the nozzle and the heat block, and you should be good to go. Just hand tighten that together, and then you can put the heat sink on. And that just screws down till it's snug. That's pretty good. After we put it all together, we can hot tighten this nozzle, but right now it's just finger tight. Next, I'm gonna unplug the old heater and plug in these new ones. The new one's slotted in, and then the new cover goes right on top. So for the next part, I need to mount this BL Touch mount right here, and to get that done, I need to have a bolt installed on this silver part here. And I tried to install it, it doesn't really fit very well. And then I tried to use a soldering iron to sort of heat fit it in there. Also, that was having trouble. So instead, we're just gonna super glue it in there, since this really just needs to be a rigid mount. Make sure to never use too much super glue, just a little dot should be plenty. Do make sure you've cut your Bowden tube nice and flat on the end there. Any unevenness on the tip here can lead to clogs, so just be careful with that. I'm just gonna slide it right down in there until it reaches the end. Then you can put your little collet right back on. And that stops it from coming back out. Make sure you have plenty of Bowden tube to reach. This tube probably should be a little bit longer than it is, but that's just kind of how it is after I cut it down. And now here we are with it installed, plugged in, turned on, and it's running correctly. So far this has been a fairly easy install there. Now all we have to do, well, first thing we should do is to run the PID tune on here to make sure things are calibrated correctly, since the BL Touch mount is still, the super glue is still drying a little bit. So this can just hang over here while I run a PID tune on there. This is also a good time to check your definitions of your thermistor inside of Clipper, because when you turn on your printer for the first time, your thermistor of your bed and your hot end should read the same temperature, and if they're not, I would check your definitions of your thermistor. Recently they added a generic 3950, and I've heard people have had really good results with that, sort of across the board instead of a specific definition. That one has just been working really well for people, so I set both of mine to that and it's working well for me. Now here's the commands you need to run for the PID tune. You run it once with the variable defined for the hot end, and then save those values, and then run it again for the bed. And when entering this PID tuning command, you should put in a target of what temperature you usually run at. For me, I usually use PLA. So I use the hot end at 200 and the bed at 60. So when entering those targets, I would put that in. And if I'm ever consistently printing a different material, I might go back in there and change that PID tuning, just because you'll get a little bit more consistent results, and consistent temperature controls can really show in the final print product. And then after the PID tune, we'll go back to rechecking our Z offset to make sure nothing's changed. Since we've changed the mount, we should make sure the things are working correctly. And now that the installation is complete and the super glue has dried on our BL Touch mount, hopefully you're not using super glue like I am. I kind of regret it already, but it is what it is, and it's there, it's ready to go. We can start with calibration. Since I do have a BL Touch style mount on here, I will need to recalibrate the Z offset of there, because the nozzle might not be exactly at the same height as the previous mount. But if you don't have a mesh bed leveling system at all, you can just adjust the wheels on the bed, and then you're ready to go. And if you need a refresher of how to calibrate your Z offset, I'll link the article in the description down below, or you can check out my other video where we did the installation of that. I went through that in more depth in that video. So here we are with the first Benchy printed off of this brand new hot end, and I've got to say, it looks really good. I was really surprised with how good this looks because I barely tuned it. The only calibration I did, I ran a retraction test and then a temperature tower test, luckily inside of Cura, which is the slicer I use. It makes these tests really easy to run because I'd heard retractions are really important with an all-metal hot end to decrease your clogging. So I decreased it. Normally I used to run it at about 6 millimeters retraction distance. Now all the way down to 3, I got really good results out of it. So that's what I'm going to be running with. I had heard you may need to increase your temperatures on here, but there's so many factors that go into the actual temperature at the nozzle. A temperature tower is the best way to know what's best for you, and 200 seemed to work really well for me. And I even got to test out a few of the other benefits that come with this hot end. And that benefit is failed prints not sticking to the heat block. I had heard, or at least the marketing for this upgraded heat block, since it's copper plated in nickel, they say that your failed prints plastic isn't going to stick to it as well. And luckily they didn't. My bed calibration wasn't great for the first one. I started it, the first layer looked like it was going down fine. I walked away and got distracted, came back to these piles of spaghetti just sitting on the print bed, and they weren't stuck to the nozzle at all. It was pretty incredible to look at, and now I have these artifacts to show just how good it was. And now that it's up and running, I guess it comes back to the question of, is this all worth it and would I recommend it? Maybe. I'm glad I got it for $30. I think this was a great kit. It comes with some other things I was already about to buy anyways. The nozzle for $9. It comes with a silicone sock, which I barely even mentioned in this. These can help with regulating temperature on your hot end. And so if you're about to buy this or the nozzle, that takes this $30 upgrade down to about a $20 upgrade. Or at least you could think of it like a $20 upgrade, since you were about to spend $10 anyways. And this also is a higher quality hot end than the stock one that comes on here. The stock one, they include 2 of these in a $200 printer. At that price, these can't be very expensive to use, but it's served me really well over the years. This one has printed so many things. I'm really glad I've had it. It deserves a spot on the shelf behind me. But to cover some of the tests that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I ran a heat up test and they both took about 1:30, which I was kind of surprised at because the stock aluminum one is smaller and much lighter weight. This new copper one is a good bit heavier in your hand, and so I thought that larger thermal mass would take longer to heat up. But surprisingly, they're pretty comparable in time to heat up. And then when it comes to print quality, I think they're both really good. They're both, I would say, again, comparable. I think the original printed really well, and this new one also prints really good. So if your original one is giving you really good prints, your upgraded one isn't going to give you much better prints. This new print is really good looking, but the old one I think is comparable in how good it looks. Another thing I mentioned that I wanted to test was if the plated copper nozzles were really any good at repelling plastic, and I got some pretty good tests here to say that they are. These are some failed prints that happened to me. Both of these errors were because I didn't fully calibrate the bed leveling, and I'm kind of glad I messed up that because now I can really say it works pretty well. One thing I can't really test here but is a big factor here is if the PTFE lining isn't breaking down like it did on the old one. I don't have a way to measure the VOCs that are going to be coming off of this PTFE lining, but I just do know now that I can print high temperature filaments with confidence. So for me, I'm happy for that. But if you're just going to be printing PLA, which most people are, then the stock one worked fine for that. Another thing I did want to mention is that I had a really lucky time when tuning this one. The tuning was very minimal. I did 2 tower tests and that was it, which was kind of surprising. I thought I was going to have a lot of issues with clogging in there. A good way to diagnose clogs, if you are having them, is to, while your nozzle's hot, touch the heatsink of your hot end. The heatsink should always stay cold or cool, and the hot end should be hot. Don't touch that, that'll burn you. But you do want this big separation between the cold part and the hot part of your hot end assembly. If you're getting heat creep up into your heatsink, then you will have some issues with clogging, and so hopefully that can help diagnose for some people who might have some issues. But for anyone who is having some issues with their clogging, be sure to put them in the comments down below. Hopefully I can help you out, or other members of the community can help you out as well. So my recommendation would be, if you're just printing PLA and your prints are coming out fine, sticking with the stock one can be a fine option for you. But if you want to get into some hotter filaments, or you're just looking for a fun upgrade and don't want to spend too much money on it, I think this one was a great upgrade, came with a lot of little accessories that I had been wanting to put on this printer anyways. And so I'm glad I did. I think this is a pretty good upgrade, all coming in at a decent price as well. But one more thing to note is that the V6 design is fairly old and new designs are coming out, from the E3D Revo to the Fetus Rapido hot end. Those are kind of a new design that has an integrated thermistor and heater into the hot end. They're both big steps forward and have various advantages to them over the V6, but they're both at around $100. So for a $200 printer, I don't know if I'd put a $100 hot end on it. That's kind of an entirely different class of upgrades than this $30 upgrade here. But overall, I'm glad I did this upgrade. It was the right one for me, and maybe it's the right one for you as well. Anyway, if you have any more questions, put them in the comments down below. I'll also link in the description where I purchased this kit. It's not an affiliate link, it's just where I happen to buy it myself. And if you found this video useful and you stuck this far through, hitting that like and subscribe button down below really helps me out, helps this channel grow, and gets this content to more people. But anyway, I hope you have an amazing day out there. Go out there, create something amazing, and I'll see you in the next video.